Hey guys, welcome back to another video of Off the Beaten Track. The time has finally come, finally doing it. As you'll see behind me, the Everest is getting lifted, finally. Now, as you can see, I've gone with the Tough Dog kit. I bought this from Superior Engineering, and it's the 40mm Tough Dog lift kit for the Ford Everest UA1. So it comes with the 2 springs for the rear, the shocks for the rear, and I did get them to pre-assemble the shocks and springs for the front, just because I didn't want to stuff around with the spring compressor and having to do that. So heading over to Dad's to actually get this installed. Now, full disclosure, I will talk about this a little bit later when I'm doing a little bit of a review about it, but I have already done the rears because last week I'd gone over there to get it installed and we had a bit of a problem with the fronts, which again I'll talk about later on, but the rears are in the car at the moment, so I'm going back over there this week to do the fronts because we had to get the strut top replaced due to a faulty part. But anyway, like I said, got the Tough Dog kit here. Now these are the fully adjustable ones. I am going to go over a bit more specs and stuff later, but just to give you an overrun, yeah, we've got the 2 springs for the back, 2 shocks for the back, and then we've got the pre-assembled shocks and springs there. So yeah, let's get over to the install. It is mainly going to be just sort of like a time-lapsey install with me doing a little bit of overdub talking over it. There's not a lot of videos on the net of people actually changing Everest suspensions. The only one I found was had a good documentation of doing the front but not the rear. So hopefully this video I'm able to show you guys and explain a little bit more in depth what has to be done. Full disclosure, I'm a bit of a novice. My dad sort of took care of most of it. But yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so you want to begin by jacking up the car. You can use the diff because you're going to need to leave the jack there anyway and put your jack stands at the points on the sides there. Take your wheel off, which is pretty obvious, so you can get to it all. And you're going to leave that jack underneath that diff so you can lower out the springs. Now, what we're doing here is essentially there's a couple of things you've got to get out of the way. There's a ABS line that goes to the brake there, and that bolt that holds the bottom of the strut in there. That needs to go, and then you can see us lowering it out. That's going to allow us to get that spring out there, but yeah, make sure your ABS line bolt is undone and any other clips or anything that are attached, and obviously the bolt that is holding the bottom of the strut in. We did have to remove, I believe it's the sway bar bolt from the back there just to get a little bit more of space out of there. Got the new one in. One person pushed down on the assembly while someone else gets it in there, and there's a little ridge line that you line that the start of the spring up with. Now, there are 2 bolts at the top of the strut there, which are connected to the frame of the car. So you got to take those off there. Taking the first one off. Now the second there, you can get a rattle gun in there, or a dak as I like to call it. You do need to hold that strut, otherwise it's going to drop on your foot, and that's not good. And then get that out of the way so you can change over the components. And that's what you see us doing here. So you're undoing the strut top there, which is the bracket assembly there. So you want to undo that, either with a ratchet or a rattle gun, depending what you have. Obviously undoing that's going to fall, so make sure you got your hand on it. And then here I am getting the new strut out. I'm talking over a little bit, but basically what I'm just saying is that's the adjustable one there, which I've explained previously in this video. Put your new sleeve over the top of it there. There we go. And then what we want to do is feed that into that top assembly there, put that bolt on. Sometimes it's easier if you just have someone hold it while you put it on, but if you can do it all by yourself, then more power to you. A little bit of Loctite on there if you want. I don't know, it's up to you. And then always check with a breaker bar. Now we're going to get that in there. And we line it up And obviously just start the nuts. What you want to do when you're putting everything back in is just start the nuts so it's there holding it in place. Then once you've got everything in, you can all tighten it up. This is me just trying to get the bottom of that strut in line there so we can feed that bolt through. Alright, so that's the spring in, shock in. So you've got 2 bolts up there. You've got another bolt here. You got to tack from there. But we did have to undo those there and the sway bar just to get it dropped a little bit more. So we're just going to go around and tighten them all up. Yeah, see, there you are in there. That's still undone a little bit. It's just sitting there. So tighten it all up, get the wheels on, see what it rides at. And yeah, like I spoke about just then, once we do everything up, it's all in place, get it down, and move on to the fronts. Similar process, but we are putting the jack underneath the bottom control arm, undoing the wheel there. We just did a side at a time there, got the jack stand at the jack point there. And what we want to do is get everything out of the way. So you've got your ABS and brake lines, all you need to get out of the way again, but there's a few more things you've got to get out of the way here. One of which is the connection to the steering rack and the CV, and that bottom bolt again for the bottom of the strut there. Now, it's not an issue on this side, but on the other side, you want to make sure that CV will probably pop out when you're taking it all out. So when you're putting it back in, you may just have to rotate it around so it clicks in. That's just me taking more of the brackets off that have got all the lines on it. There's a couple of clips that run along the bottom of the up control arm as well. You want to undo those. So then when you're lowering and hiring things, you're not going to burst any of your lines and cause more damage. Now you want to smack that with a hammer, and that'll move that bolt upwards, which is also the same trick you want to use for when we undo the ball joint bolt that goes to the up control arm. And yeah, there's 3 bolts at the top of the strut tower there that you want to undo. And yeah, next you want to undo that nut that's underneath the ball joint for the upper control arm, but make sure you got that jack in place underneath that assembly there, otherwise it's going to completely fall out and go everywhere. Smack it with a hammer, that's going to move that bolt up. And we're ready to take that off, and this is a 2-person job because when you lower it, all this is going to move around and it is quite difficult. So again, just lowering, pushing that down so we can get the strut top out of the where it mounts in there. Look at all that dirt coming out. That's glasshouse for you. That's me blowing it all out. Oh, it's probably a little bit Genoan as well, but mainly glasshouse. And now we're putting the new lifted spring and strut in. So yeah, pushing down on it as much as we can. Obviously gone a bit bigger here, so we've got to push down a little bit more to get it in. Line it up with the holes there before you start putting any nuts on. Then put those nuts on first because you want them to stay seated in those holes there. And then we are going to try and line up where that bolt goes through in the bottom of the strut as well. You put your control arm back together first, and you're literally just reversing what you've done. So do it in the same order you did it before, which is what I'm doing. You just put the bolts in there, do them up finger tight, and then once you've got everything in and in the right place, you can go around with your rattle gun or your ratchet and just do it all up tight. There may be a little bit of up and down movement you got to do, but that's why it's handy to have 2 people. So one person can be putting everything back together, and another person can be standby on the jack.
Like I said, there's a fair few extra bits and pieces you got to get out of the way at the front here, as opposed to the rears. The rears are actually probably the easier part to do here. And just going round, tightening everything up. You can't get to that one there with the rattle gun, so just do it with a ratchet. Now these top ones, this is where it all went pear-shaped last time, so I'm only doing them up a little bit, and then I got Dad to come around after and do them up to torque spec. I just didn't want to risk damaging these, which I will speak about later in this video. And yeah, that is pretty much going to be it.
So yeah, I just want to do a little bit of a wrap-up segment to talk about how the install went, any tips and tricks I can kind of give to you guys, and to run over a bit more about the particular details about what I've actually installed on the car. So like I mentioned at the start, it is the 40mm Tough Dog lift kit. Now I did buy this from Superior Engineering in Burpengary. It's really local to me. That is the only kit that they sold for the Ford Everest, so I kind of had no choice, had to go with it. But there is two variants. You've got the non-adjustable shocks or the 9-way adjustable, which is what I've actually gone for there. It was only like $150 price difference, so I thought, you know, to have that flexibility going off-roading and going camping and that, I could soften it up, make it a little bit more nicer and enjoyable, and then tighten it back up for when, you know, it's doing the family car stuff, which is obviously its main use. Now, retail price for those, I believe I paid about $1,560 or somewhere around that for it. I did actually pay for them to pre-assemble the front shocks and springs together because I didn't want to have to be dealing with the spring compressor. I actually had a little bit of an issue with that, which I did mention earlier in the video, and the reason why we had to split the install up over a couple of weeks, because when we went to do the front, the bolts that they actually used for the strut top was like a mild steel, and it threaded and bent without even using it. Like, literally did it up by hand, touched it with a socket. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like it was threaded or anything like that. The nut was on there properly, but it completely demolished it. My old man just couldn't believe it that it was mild steel, considering that it's high tensile bolts for the factory ones. So I ended up going back to the guys at Superior and kind of being like, look, can you swap it over for high tensile ones? They advised me that they don't have them and just said, look, it could be just a batch issue. So they did swap it over with another set of mild steel, but they're zinc coated ones, meant to be a little bit stronger. I didn't have any issues with it that time round, but if you guys are assembling the shocks yourself, I'd recommend using the high tensile ones that come on the vehicle, because you're not going to have any issues with it. They're made to last, so use those. He did inform me that anywhere you sort of go that buys, you know, get it pre-assembled and get the strut top, uses the same mild steel zinc coated bolts. So you can't really ask for the high tensile ones unless you're supplying them off your vehicle. That's just a little bit of insight. It was kind of a little bit annoying because we were all reared and ready to go and get it done in one day, but it didn't work out that way, so we had to obviously split it up over 2 installs, which is why my clothes changed and everything like that. Now, I will voice over in the video while we're doing install as best as I can on how to go about it. This is the first time I've ever done it, so it was hot on my dad talking me through it and figuring out as we go. I would actually say the rear is the easiest part of it to install. The only tricky thing is you've got to jack the car up, get it on stands, and then put the jack underneath the rear diff and kind of do them at both at the same time. You've got to lower it off, get the old springs out, put the new springs in, and then use the jack underneath the diff to compress the spring up in there. Found that a lot easier. With the fronts, it's a little bit more difficult, and I will talk about it with my voiceover, but you kind of have to take everything out of the way. We actually had to undo the CV as well, so it really is a two-person job, because you've got to have one person jacking up all the assembly underneath the lower control arm, but it kind of is moving all over the place. It's a nightmare. You would have seen it in the video, but 2-people job for sure. Now, obviously can't really do much of a review because I've only just put it on, and I haven't even gotten a wheel alignment on it yet, because apparently local tyre shops don't like doing a full wheel alignment, and as soon as you mention they get to adjust the camber, they freak out and don't want to serve you. But anyway, that's another story. So I can't really give you a review of how it's going, but I will probably in 3 to 6 months after I've done a fair few trips in it give my verdict on it. For the most part, I can definitely feel the difference, like comfort-wise, because they are a foam cell shock, so they are a little bit softer and spongier than the factory ones, and deal with a lot more bumps and stuff. Now, height-wise, I could definitely see the height difference in the back, but I don't know if it's like an illusion thing, but I feel like the front isn't that much higher. It obviously is, it's a 40mm lift. I believe I got about 38mm for the fronts, and I got, actually I got like 40, pretty much 40 smack bang for the rears. So the rear is a touch higher, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just an illusion thing. I do have on the horizon hopefully some bigger wheels and going a bit higher there, so yeah, it would have been nice to be able to get full 2 inches, but like I said, Superior doesn't actually do a kit for a 2 inch, they only do a 40mm, but that's okay. Actually avoided having to use upper control arms. That is a thing that is very mixed online. There's like two sides online. People say, no, anything under 2 inches with these IFS vehicles, you don't need extended upper control arms, and other people say, yes. You don't. Like the camber is not that far out, and I haven't even had it aligned yet, so there is no need for it. So keeping it under 2 inches, fantastic, but if you were to go over 2 inches, you are going to need upper control arms, which is more cost. So yeah, that's going to wrap up this video. It is a little bit all over the place because I've had to film it over multiple weeks and days, but yeah, I'm really keen to see how it performs off-road. I will give my input on that later on, and yeah, I'm glad I finally got it lifted. Hopefully the video was helpful. There's not a lot of videos online about how to do installs for these Ford Everest, so hopefully it's a little bit insightful, and maybe I persuaded you that doing a lift and installing yourself isn't too hard. So, and yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video. Thanks very much for watching. Leave a like if you made it all the way to the end. Subscribe would be amazing. Trying to get over 100 subscribers, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but for someone that only releases a video once a month, it'd be nice to get over 100 subscribers. But anyway, that is going to do it. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I do hope you can get off the beaten track. See ya.